What happened? Mate, best laid plans and all that, you know what I mean?
I don't know what. It must be because of those. You've got one of those, you know, Apple phones, don't you?
Yeah, but what have you got?
I've got one of these fancy Google phones.
Ah, sell out.
No.
At least it's not a Huawei. Don't want the Chinese government spying on my brisket recipe.
Probably is under the lid. Who knows? Who
Can you
knows?
see me? Can you see me okay?
I can see you well. I can see you beautiful, mate. You're looking pretty sharp.
I feel far away. I'm just going to move closer.
Yeah. You got something.
Hey?
Here we go. Yeah, so tonight's going to be pretty awesome, mate, isn't it?
Well, I know. I was just telling the 12 people that joined in on the other feed what was going on, but I'm like, barbecue lads are here in a minute, and then you never turned up, so
I said,
what are you going to do?
Well, I'll tell the people that joined here.
Yeah.
We're now live. How are you, Jack?
I'm good, mate. You?
Well, I'm well. So it's going to be a pretty incredible night tonight, mate. You know.
Oh, mate, I'm so looking forward to it. Like 10 hours in the making. This is 10 hours, and it's feeling good.
I'm a little bit nervous, to be honest.
Why?
Well, because I've got something that I've been cooking like you for the last 10 hours, sitting in a box here that I haven't seen yet, and then I'm going to whip it out live, and it could go wrong. Like
have you not had a sneak peek?
I've not had a sneak peek, no.
Me neither. Mine's still wrapped up like a nice little present, and I've not touched it.
Yeah, exactly.
So do you want to tell the people at home what actually happened? The serendipitous moment.
Well, let's introduce the show first. Do you want to do that? Tonight is Brisket Barkin. How's that?
That's it, mate. Tonight, Brisket Barkin. We're cooking a Trenchmore Farm Suffolk Wagyu brisket, and we've also got some of their silly moo cider. So we're going to go across to the farmer later, and he's going to tell us all about the farm. But what I love about it is it's all about sustainability. So everything they produce on the farm is reused to fuel something else. So basically, the apple pomace is used to feed the cows. The cow feed is then in turn made out of wheat that they grow on the farm. It's all about sustainability, and they make pretty wicked cider. So should we get one open?
I've already started, mate.
Oh, right, mate, have you? Oh, fine, right.
I went for the unfiltered because I quite like it au natural, so I'm going to give that a go. Now, there's a little bit more to the show because also too, so we've cooked up a brisket, you cooked up a brisket and I, a Sussex Wagyu brisket. So Andrew Knowles, that owns the farm down there, that owns Trenchmore Farms down there, he's going to join us, he's going to tell us all about it. And guess what? We might even get to meet some cows. How's that?
No way. What could go wrong? What could go wrong?
I think there's a lot of people out there that wouldn't even know that meat came from a cow.
Oh, don't say that, mate. we're doomed if that's the case.
And he can also, too, I noticed, too, he can also point out where the brisket comes from.
Yeah.
Which is pretty awesome. Ooh, close. But, so we'll cut over to him and we'll have a good chat with him. He's a wonderful gentleman. He's a really, really lovely guy. Spoke to him earlier in the week. Obviously, after we show our briskets, we'll have a sample of their cider that comes down from their farm as well.
Yep.
Then we've also got the giveaway, the winner to be announced, Jack.
Yes, we have.
So the prize, can you tell me about the prize?
So they're giving away some of their silly moo cider and a charcuterie packet as well.
Oh my gosh. That's a good cider. It's not too acidic. For me, I like that. That's nice, and it's quite not too sweet either.
Yeah, see, I've gone for their standard 4.8 silly moo cider. Lovely.
Okay.
As you say, not sweet, not too fizzy. That's spot on.
Nice. So if any of the audience out there have got any questions about A, Wagyu, B, brisket, or C, farming, pop them up on the screen, and we'll have the farmer, a real farmer, that'll be able to tell us all about it and answer your questions. How's that?
Sounds good to me, mate.
So now, after the show, for the afterburn, we've got, again, this is part of the reason why I'm nervous, mate. We've got Mursal and Josh, and they're from Q Point in London.
Oh, the Brisket Masters.
Yeah, which, depending on where you sit in the Instagram world, are arguably the best brisket in the country.
Yeah, I'll tell you what, I'd like to, that'd be a pretty good thing to put on Brisket Battle, who is the master of the brisket, the UK. Oh,
well, as far as I, in the many expeditions I've tried, into the many restaurants that I've tried, then, as far as I'm concerned, the Q Point brisket, seems to, don't know what they do. I think there's a magic trick. Maybe they'll tell us the magic trick later.
yeah, I mean, I'd like to know what brisket they use, any tricks, any tips, because I'll tell you what, Hills, brisket's one of these things where when you get into barbecue, it's one of these things that everyone wants to master, isn't it? But there's so many things that could go wrong during a cook, and it's a pretty expensive bit of meat, isn't it? So if you mess it up, I don't know about you, but bad brisket is bad brisket, isn't it? It's rough, it's tough. You could put it on your feet and use it as flip-flops, mate. It's pretty damn bad, isn't it?
It's true. I've had a few of those experiences, mate. I'm probably wearing one now. I'll probably be wearing it now.
Oh, mate, touching my package, pardon the pun, but it's pretty soft. That's pretty soft.
So that's the introductions for the evening. Also, too, we're going to, with the brisket, we're going to have a sweet little Carmenere from Chile, the national grape of Chile. And I'm going to enjoy that later on. Pretty cool. So now we've done the introductions to the show, we're up to the important bit. You show me yours, I'll show you mine.
I'm slicing straight away.
Right. Should we do it now, do you think, or should we, how long are we? Yeah, go on. Yeah.
Hold on. Let me. Oh.
We're going to go first, are you?
Yeah, mate.
So, first of all, tell us, whilst you're doing this, tell us a little bit about what you did whilst you were cooking.
So, I cooked this on the Traeger Timberline 850.
Yeah.
And basically just had it on as low as the Traeger would go. So, the Traeger, you can set it at 75 degrees Celsius. So, yeah. I had it at that for the whole duration of the cook. And then when it reached, oh, that's nice. We'll keep all that juice. When it reached about 65 degrees Celsius, I wrapped it up in some paper and then let it come at temperature. So I pulled it off at 90 degrees, basically.
Yeah.
And when it hit 90 degrees, pulled it off and let it rest in a cool box. So what we should have, I mean, that's pretty jiggly. That's pretty jiggly. That's good. See that?
And I think we're going to have to ask Andrew what cut he supplied us with. Because there's a couple of different pieces in the brisket. There's the flat and the point.
Yeah.
Oh my God. Let me get in there. Let me have a look at that.
Pretty juicy.
Holy smoke.
It's pretty juicy, mate.
Have you got a little slice to do a bit of a finger bend? I think there's going to be a guy called Artist Barbecue watching, and if we don't do a finger bend, he's going to be pretty upset, I'd say. Holy, ooh. All right, Trenchmore Farm says it's a packer brisket cut flat.
Okay, so we just got the. That's
nice.
Yeah, that's pretty good, mate.
Oh my God! All right, give it a little twang, give it a little pull like that. And what happens then? Oh, there you go. I think you nailed it, mate.
I'll tell you what. That's good. I know it's rude to eat on camera, but that's lovely.
Okay, so tell us, what did you put as a rub on yours the night before, mate? Or the day before? Or how did you prepare the meat?
So the night before, I seasoned it with Traeger's rosemary, what's it called? Their prime rib rub, which is like it's got like quite a heavy punch of rosemary in it. And I also mixed it with coffee.
Ah.
Yeah, so we've got a Traeger rub and we've got their coffee rub. So should be nice, sweet, a little bit of savoury coffee. And it's made a nice little bark, actually. It's nice and nice little red bark. Oh. Yeah, mate, this is good.
Mate, I think you've excelled.
Just admiring it, mate. It's lovely.
Yeah. And how are you going to? What you going to eat that with, mate?
Well, so under here, I've got some bagels, and
that's novel.
And a little bit of gherkin. So we're gonna have some brisket bagels.
Oh, there you go, champion. Look at that.
Oh, dreamy. Oh, great minds, mate. Great minds.
Penny Smith says Jack's nailed it again.
Oh, mate, it's looking good.
So have we got any Jack's hacks for the brisket yet, mate?
I'll tell you what, the biggest hack is the wrapping, the procedure of wrapping it, because what you'll do is when you cook a brisket, you'll smoke it unwrapped, and it will reach a certain point, usually around the 60, sort of 70-degree mark Celsius-wise, when it will hit something called the stall, where basically your temperature won't go up. It will just be sitting at that sort of 60 mark for ages, and you're like, what's going on? And people will instinctively want to increase the temperature because obviously they want to cook it. But your meat's going to sweat, so it's not going to go up in temperature. So to get around this, if you wrap it in butcher paper, tin foil, a little bit of moisture inside, that's perfect, isn't it? That will push you through that stall.
Sweet. Well, someone's just put up hashtags Jack's hacks here. That's quite cool. But
I like that. Who's that?
Oh,
Jules.
Nice one. So yeah, but there's a difference between using paper and using foil, isn't there?
Yeah, I mean, foil I think would increase the temperature pretty quickly because it reflects the heat, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Whereas paper allows that moisture to sort of form nicely. I mean, this is why we've got sort of nice, bendy brisket.
Well, I tell you what, Jack. I hope my brisket turns out as good as yours.
No pressure, mate.
Yeah, I'm scared. I really am.
Nothing like doing a 10-hour cook for it to be rock hard, but you know what? I say what I'll do with mine is I'll hand slice some for dinner, but then the rest of it I'll put through my meat slicer. So get the gradient like 1 mil, 2 mil, and have super thin brisket slicer.
Who'd have thought you'd have your own meat slicer? I just never would have imagined that, mate.
Mate, I tell you what, if I didn't have my good lady wife reining me in every now and again, the kitchen would be like an abattoir. I tell you, we'd have hooks on the ceiling and everything. It'd be a nightmare.
All right. Well, appreciate we've got to have a bit of a chat with Andrew.
Yeah.
On the farm, and we've overshot, and then I'll come back and I'll open my brisket. How's that sound?
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it.
And I think there's I'm nervous and. Whew,
I mean, maybe ask Andrew if he wants to send us some steaks, and we'll quite happily taste them for him.
Let's see what he says. Pop up some questions on the screen. I know you were going to have a yarn to him earlier, but we've kind of got it all muddled up. So
technical difficulties, mate. What are you going to do?
Exactly. So Andrew, Trenchmore Farms. Let's switch over to him now and have a bit of a yarn, and we'll be back in a minute, Jack.
I'll try not to eat all my brisket.
Well, you got to wait for my grand opening.
Oh yeah, definitely.
One moment, mate. All right. Let's see if we can get. I'll catch you soon, Jack.
See you later, mate.
All right, here we go. Trenchmore Farm. Let's add them in now. We might just do stuff here a little bit. Andrew.
Hello. Can you
How
see
are
me?
you? You've got the sun behind you, so we need the
Oh,
sun.
well, let's have it. I've got the cows behind me.
Ah!
There we go. There we
Well,
are. Now,
first of
you're
all,
eating Sussex Wagyu brisket.
yes.
These are the Sussex ladies.
Oh,
See, they're beautiful dark red and they're very handsome. And here, behind me, is the Wagyu bull.
where is he? Where's
I'm
the
going to
man?
try not to turn my back on him too long. It's not a
Yeah.
wise idea with bulls. He's here. Can you see him?
Oh, is that him there?
That's him there.
He looks pretty calm.
He's pretty classy, isn't he?
Ah, like the sort of the hair on the front.
Yeah, he's got a fancy hairstyle. Well, it's been lockdown. Can't get a decent hairstyle for love and money till now.
Oh,
Here's
COVID.
his little harem. He's in this field with these girls because he's trying to make us some new calves.
So this is your breeding stock, is it?
This is our breeding stock, yeah. I thought I'd bring you out in the field and show you what it's like out on the grass. Because at this time of the year, we like to have all the cattle, as many cattle as we can get out as we can, so they're naturally grazing the grass.
They look pretty happy. What are they doing? They're dining just on grass, or?
That's all they're doing. They're just chewing grass, yeah. We have a system called Paddock's, paddock rotation of grass. So basically we give them small fields and we move them around every 2 or 3 days. So they strip the grass down and then we let it regrow, and they just keep getting fresh grass. That keeps them very happy, and it keeps the grass short and sweet. It never allows it to go really lank and to seed if we can help it. And that makes it much more appetizing to them. So they're very happy. They're rather spoiled cows, but as you will know, the Wagyu needs to be massaged regularly and fed beer if possible.
Honestly, tell me, do you really do that? Oh, yes. We're back now. We had a little interruption.
Oh yeah, that's the old battery syndrome. So it's a beautiful day here. Is it good for you?
It's wonderful up here. It's nice and warm enough for the shirt. We've Jack and I have spent about 10 hours in front of the smoker today, cooking up one of your lovely briskets.
Wow. Yeah. Well, we've been busy too. We're combining barley today, and we will be making baling straw and carting that tomorrow. And we're clearing out the sheds as it's summertime and the cows are all out. And we've been busy delivering beautiful beef to happy customers. So it's all in all, it's been a busy old day. And how's the brisket looking? Have you opened yours yet?
Jack's is looking pretty awesome. I'm a bit nervous. I hope to do you proud and Jack proud and a few of our followers proud. I haven't opened mine yet. I'm going to open it after this segment.
Okay. I look forward to seeing how that is.
And so if they're Wagyu cows, they're Japanese cows. How did they end up in Sussex?
Well, that's a long story, but the Japanese Wagyu is different to the native British and European cattle. They store the fat in a different place. They tend to lay it in the muscle as well as on their backs. And that means that you get the fine veins of fat which are storing energy in the muscle. And when you come to cook that, of course, then it melts and it bastes the meat from the inside. So that's the beautiful difference of Wagyu. The meat tends to be very tender and juicy. And actually the fat that they store, because of a genetic difference between them and European cattle, the fat is very different. It's a lot softer. It's got a lower melting point. It contains oleic acid, which is the same as in olive oil. So very often the butchers will say to me, well, you can tell your cattle apart, Andrew, because when you hold the meat, it's oily in your hands and it gives you lovely soft sheen on the hand as you're butchering it. And that's because it's a lower melting point fat. So for something like what you're doing today with the brisket, that's perfect because you can go low and slow and it will remain moist and juicy. The fat will still be lovely and soft and liquefied inside it. And of course, that also applies to all the other cuts of beef as well. So the Wagyu really is quite a different thing. It's a different experience in many ways to what we're used to in the European cattle.
Okay. Well, I'm looking forward to it. And I did notice on the brisket cut, the fat on it with slight yellow tinge. Is that particular?
That's because of the grass fed, because they're basically fed grass through their life. In the last 3 to 6 months of their life, they also get some extra energy from using waste products from the brewing industry. So we buy in brewers' grains, and well, actually, we don't buy the brewers' grains. The brewery gives us them for free rather than having to tip them.
Okay.
We get linseed flakes from pressing linseed oil, and wheat bran from the bakehouse up in E5, which they extract so that their loaves aren't too heavy. Then we want to take that back and not waste it, so we feed it back to the cattle. So all in all, they're fed on grass, but they're given a bit of extra energy from these waste products from human food chain. And that really just helps to sort of finish them and put a nice layer of fat down. So when you dry age them, they don't. The fat protects the meat, so it doesn't go dry, and allows you to age them for longer. And also, the fat gives it this unique flavour because of this different style of fat that's in the meat.
Okay. Wow, that's incredible, mate. Surrey Smoking says brewery-fed cows. I think that's a perfect sort of cycle of,
Yeah. Well, we're trying to be as sustainable as we can here. We're using a lot of compost to restore the soil, which was rather worn out by intensive arable farming. And we're only using waste products and grass to feed the cows. So we feed them silage and hay in the winter, which is preserved grass, and we feed them fresh grass in the summer until they're nearly finished. And then just to fatten them at the end, we give them the extra products from the waste stream. So all in all, it's sustainable and it's tasty.
Oh, excellent, mate. Excellent. Well, we did have a question there a little bit earlier too. Do you actually feed them beer as well?
We do feed them some leftover beer. We've got some friends up in Wimbledon who've been bringing us the beer during the lockdown that they couldn't sell because it had gone out of date because all the pubs were shut. So we've been adding a bit of that to the mix, and we also feed them the brewer's grains, which comes from the brewery. It doesn't really contain beer. It's just what's left after they've extracted the sugar to make the beer. And it's very healthy for cattle because basically you're feeding them the protein and the fiber and the oils that are left in the grain, but all the sugar's been taken out of it. So it's a very safe product to feed to cattle and very good for their protein intake. So they absolutely devour that. And then in the apple harvest season, of course, we feed them some apple pomace, which again is crushed apples. It's not really alcoholic. It's just apple juice and crushed apple, which we feed them, and we've taken the juice away to make the cider. How are you enjoying the cider?
This is really good. I really like the unfiltered one. I've just about tried the filtered one.
It's got a bit of yeast left in it, and it's quite raw, but it's got a lovely apple note because of that. It's not been through a filter, so it doesn't lose some of the aromatics.
Yeah, I'm with the unfiltered style. I quite like that one.
Yeah, good.
Gives a bit of it. But that's great news. So then the cows as well. I mean, they look pretty happy. You must sell the different cuts. How do you sell your meat? Is it regular, or do you have a shop, or I believe?
We sell it online. So if anyone wants to buy it, they can Google Trenchmore Farm and they'll find an online shop. And then people either collect it from here or we can deliver it. We also work with Direct Meats, which is a wholesale meat catering butcher, and they will deliver into London and can also deliver further afield by courier. And then we also sell to quite a lot of the local pubs down here in Sussex and restaurants down into Brighton and up in London, and Direct Meats likewise will deliver to restaurants. So there's quite a variety of ways of getting hold of it. Go online and look at Trenchmore Farm website, you'll find out.
Fantastic, mate. Fantastic. No, well,
you were asking me about where the brisket comes from. So if you can see down here, this lady is demonstrating for us. This is her brisket here. She's storing fat in it. Can you see that?
Is that the bit there?
No. It's a lovely soft fat store, and basically that under there is the brisket. So when the animal's been slaughtered and butchered, that's where you're taking it from, and it's a very rich piece of beef because of the fat content. And then you're slow cooking it, which of course is allowing a lot of the fat to come out of it, but you're still ending up with a beautiful flavoursome piece of meat, because at the end of the day, a lot of the flavour in meat does come from the fat. And when you've got fat that's high in oleic acid, then it's something you can enjoy without worrying too much as well.
Well, mate, you know, that's something new to me. I knew roughly the area of the cow where it came from, but I've never actually seen the heart. So thank you very much. You've enlightened me, and I hope hopefully a lot of the audience as well.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, thanks for inviting me along, and I'm looking forward to seeing what yours comes out now.
Okay. Well, I'm really nervous, so you know I hope mine's fine. But you know I've spent all day on it, and I've been done what I can. But
I'm sure it's going to be delicious. There's only good beef and great beef. There's no such thing as terrible beef unless you really, really made a mess of it, and I'm sure you haven't.
Well, thank you very much, Andrew, and thank you very much for your time, and thank you for taking the time out and showing us around your farm and the wonderful things you're doing down there and the cattle you've got, in particular where a brisket comes from.
Well, there you go. You've learned something good.
And Smoking Elk, he says why. He's from down your way, well, a little bit further down. He's from Portsmouth, I think. So Smoking Elk says hi. So
hi, Smoking Elk.
Yeah. This is the thing. If my brisket goes wrong, I've got all of the aficionados.
Come on then, stop the delay. Let's see what it's like.
All right. Well, thank you very much for joining us.
Hilary, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you everyone for tuning in. Bye.
Okay. All the best.
Bye now.
All right. All right. Let's go back over to Jack. Where's Jack? Let's join Jack in, and then we'll go for the major moment here. Oh, Smoking Elk's online. Where's Jack? Big important. Oh, here we go.
Mate,
How's that?
knowledge dropped. I love it.
My gosh, that's sensational, isn't it? I love seeing that and learning that. You know, did you know that was the bit of the cow where the brisket came from, mate?
I mean, I thought it was like the front shoulder. So yeah, it's a little bit further towards the sort of the jowl, isn't it? Than I thought. So
yeah, I thought there was two briskets. I thought there was one on either side, mate. And I grew up on a farm.
You know what? Everyone's like, oh, left-handed, right-handed brisket. Well, there's no such thing, is there? So
yeah.
I'll tell you what, mate. If I ever pass away and get reincarnated, it'd be as a Wagyu cow, wouldn't it? Drink beer, get massaged every day, win.
How was that? They look pretty happy.
Yeah. That's a sign of a good farm, isn't it? You know, everyone says about, you know, you see all these things in the media about animals being mistreated and all that sort of stuff. The sign of a good farm is that animals being happy and being, you know, in the presence of a human, being happy and not scared. So that's perfect, isn't it? That's exactly what you want.
I'm comfortable. It's magic, isn't it, mate? Yeah, no, I'm really proud. I think, from my point of view, I'm really proud that people like that can join us, mate, and tell us their stories and help us out. You know, it's all learning for us. A lot of learning for you.
Yeah, and the story of sustainability again is amazing. You know, everything they do, there's no waste, no byproduct that they don't use. So brilliant.
All right, so now's the moment I've been scared about, Jack. I've got to whip me brisket out. Oh, you're already buttoned up. All right, I'm gonna put my brisket down here.
Show me.
And I'm going to show you it, right? So here we go. I haven't seen it before. This could be the end of my really short-lived barbecue career.
Let's have a look. Let's just adjust. There we go. Whip it out. Someone said, whip it out.
Oh my God, here we go. It's in here somewhere.
Looking moist. Oh, mate, nice bark. Yes.
Oh, it's got a bit of bounce to it. I'm going to put that in the box. Sorry, I know I should be wearing some sort of gloves or something here, but... So
what are you going to do? The food place ain't going to come around, are they?
So guide me, Jack. Which way should I be slicing this? You've got to slice it across the grain, apparently.
Struggling to see, mate. It's a bit... yeah, that's it. I would then cut it straight down the middle there.
Straight down the middle?
Yeah.
Holy shit. Oh, sorry. My gosh. I think I've been right, Jack. I think it's worse. Look at that.
falling apart, mate. Oh, nice smoke ring. Look at that.
Plenty of juice there for the juice freaks. Oh my gosh. It's work, Jack. Look at that.
Nailed it.
Oh, wow. That's it. I'm going home now. Actually, I am home. Sorry, what am I saying?
Job done.
That's nice. Yeah. Maybe not quite on the brisket bend, but I've cut it quite thick. Let me try a bit of a thinner slice on this.
But you know what, Hillary? Like Andrew said, didn't he? That it's the flat basically. It's the pack of brisket, but he's given us the flat. So it's not the fattiest part of the brisket. The fattiest part is the point. So you're not going to get that proper, American style brisket that you see on all these shows. It is a little bit leaner. So don't be too hard on yourself, mate. That's what I'm trying to say.
No, I've moved myself up in the ranks, mate. That's nice. Wow. Tender. Can we do a bit of a pull test here? If Artist is watching, I know he's going to be, keeping an eye on things. Might be a little bit.
Yeah, where is he? He joined on my feed, and then I haven't seen him since. Arthur, if you're there, give us a thumbs up.
Wow. And I did the bark right, I think. I quite like the bark. I took a leaf out of your book and I added a bit of coffee to the rub. So it was about 1 part salt, 4 parts cracked pepper, about 3 parts coffee, ground coffee. I use ground coffee though, not instant coffee. Oh
yeah, definitely, mate. That's the way. You don't instant coffee. Too big, it will give you lumps on your brisket. You want a nice powdered, like almost espresso, grind for your coffee.
Oh my God,
someone's saying feed your cat, feed the cat.
His name's Queso, if anybody knows Spanish. He's on Instagram as well. It's Love Queso. But no, Queso, you're not getting any of this brisket. This is too nice to be sharing with you.
Queso Manchego.
I think I've done it right here. I think I've done Andrew and Trenchmore friends proud. I'm happy with that. It worked out really well. And thanks for your advice too on all of that, Jack.
So what you got there? Nice little buns. Put it in.
Yes, yeah. I've got a couple of muffins. I'm going to make some thin slices. First of all, wash my hands. So perhaps if you could, give the folks a bit of a story.
Well, shall I announce the winner of the giveaway?
That's a good idea. Maybe open bed and announce the winner of the giveaway. How's that? So every week we try and run a little giveaway. The company that obviously we have the meat from, we always ask for something to give away to the viewers. So this week has been amazing response to the competition. We had over 200 entries on Hillary and my posts. So thank you very much to everyone who entered. And the winner of the Silly Moose Cider and the charcuterie set is Susie Lou, number 8. Well done. Thank you for entering. And please do contact us after the show with your details and we can arrange your prize. So yeah, there we go. Oh, PC Barbecue Jr. has just joined. If anyone knows PC Barbecue, this is his daughter who's just started her Instagram account. She's keen to learn cooking, so obviously please support her in this journey. It's really important for children to learn how to cook. Love it. So yeah, PC Barbecue, hello sir. And PC Barbecue Jr., how are you doing? But yeah, just to recap, today we cooked the Trenchmore Farm Sussex Wagyu brisket flat. We both smoked it on our pellet grills and cook it roughly. And we let it rest for about an hour and a half in cool boxes. This is to allow the meat to relax, because you think if something's been under intense heat for all that time, it's going to be really tight. So you need to give it that time to relax. Like if you was when you're sunbathing, you're like all hot. You need to like get into your cool hotel room and just relax. Nice. Oh, look at that. There we go. PC Barbecue's on the feed. PC Barbecue, how are you, mate? Look, another official.
I was saying, Hillary, his daughter's just started an Instagram account because she's interested in getting into cooking a little bit more. So, PC Barbecue Jr., hello.
All right, so I've just had some corn muffins appear. So what I'm going to do there is just break a little bit of that off. A little bit of pickle on the top.
Oh, I'm a boy. I thought it was your daughter, PC Barbecue. Sorry.
Mm. Jack, that's it. I found my calling.
What's that?
Brisket. I love it. I got it right. I think this is the best brisket I've ever cooked. Well, I'm pretty sure it is the best brisket I've actually ever cooked.
Nice.
Not me. Wow. How's yours, mate? How did it go in the buns, etc.?
Mate, on a bagel, look at that. Amazing.
Oh,
Bit of pickle, some mustard. Yeah. That's what Thursday nights are made for. Have you poured yourself a nice glass of the old
I was just about to do that right now. So yeah, did you announce the winner of the box then?
Yes, we had Susie Lou _8.
Okay. So Susie Lou, congratulations. I hope you enjoy and really look forward to the prize that's coming forward to you, and send us a post and send us a picture when you've got it all, when you've received it all and everything.
Yeah, I hope these boxes going out give people the happiness that you know, if I received a nice big box of meat in the post, I'd be like, yeah, I'd be interested in that.
Yeah, I mean, the winner from last week, he was really chuffed. And
Beardo Barbecue Beers. He got his box from the Ginger Pig. It was stacked with stuff, wasn't it? Did you see it?
Yeah, and he looked very happy with it. So
Yeah.
Go, Jack. I'm going to have a quick glass of red, and then I think this is the Carmenere from Erman's Wines. Let's have a sample of that with a wee little slice of this.
A nice Chilean. Nice Chilean Reserve.
Look at that.
Oh, that's good. That's good smelling wine.
Look at that. Which one wins, folks?
Oh, that's lovely, mate.
If you're out there and you've had dinner, I hope you're really, really hungry again.
Oh yeah, look at that smoke ring. Look, you see it?
Oh wow, yeah. Yeah, I did mine. Well, I never told everybody how I did mine, but
oh yeah,
I cooked mine up on the Weber SmokeFire over here. Similar process to yourself. The Smokeboost feature is first of all, then several hours until wrapped at about 60 odd degrees. Then wrapped it up, put it back in the SmokeFire, and off we went.
Oh mate, lovely. Did you monitor yours via the app?
Yes, yeah. And being an Australian, I didn't actually have an esky, but I did have a box here. Josh and Marcel, you'll recognise one of these. This is a whoa, yeah, but it's all fully insulated and everything. And yeah, it worked out quite well. So yeah,
Mate, adapt and overcome. You know, not everyone's got a cool box, have they? So if you're resting your brisket, you don't have to put it in a cool box. You can wrap it in a towel or put it in your oven. You know, as long as it's. Oh, look at that.
Mm.
Yeah, we had this conversation literally at 6:30 in the morning when we Skyped each other when you was doing your Bradley Wiggins, when you was like siphoning up the A10. And I was like, mine's at 30 degrees already. It's only been on an hour. I'm getting worried.
I did notice that it got to 35 pretty quick, slowed down to get to about 60. Then we wrapped it.
Yeah.
But then sort of 60 to about 80. That was reasonably quick again. But then 80, that was a bit of a trudge. That was a bit of a.
Oh yeah, mate. From 60 to done, that was probably the longest part. You know, wrapped it about 1 o'clock, maybe 1:30, and it was done at 4:30. So almost half the cooking time was getting it from that 60 to, you know, I pulled it off at 90 degrees. So
All right. Well, we've run a little bit over time here, but
We always do, mate. We always do, don't we?
I think now we have to get in the supreme critics, Mursal and Josh. Let's just check that they're online first. Oh, here we go. I think they are. I think they're in there somewhere. Yes. All right. So we should wrap up a little bit then, Jack, for now, and then we'll cut over to for the Afterburn show with Mursal and Josh. So
No worries, mate.
big thanks to Trenchmore Farm, Silly Moo Cider. For me, the unfiltered is the jobby. That was my favourite.
Yep, I've got one bottle of that left. I'm going to have that now with me brisket bagels. Lovely.
And obviously a massive Trenchmore Farms to the wonderful bit of Wagyu brisket and
Mate, yeah.
to show us how it, how did it end up in our place? That's wonderful that they've taken the time out to show us all of that.
Oh yeah, but that's exactly it. Like showing people where the food comes from. It's not just a polythenes wrapped, bit of meat in a shop. It's been handled with care and grown with love, hasn't it? So that's exactly it. People like this, get them on the show, get them to talk about their product, shout about it. Exactly.
And then Erman's wines, obviously, for the Carmenere, the Chilean wine, Chilean.
Chile.
And thank you for the audience for joining us. I think we should now. What have we got coming up next week, Jack?
So next week we've got sizzling sirloins, and we're giving away a Toronto steak broiler. So Barbecue Land in Hitchin is sponsoring next week's show. We're going to run a little competition starting Monday to give away a steak broiler. It's an awesome little unit, and it gets to 800 degrees Celsius in like 90 seconds, and you can bang a steak in there. That steakhouse sizzle, mate. So that's what we're going to do next week.
That's going to be sensational, and I'm glad you read the notes this time round.
Mate, I always do. Do it on the night. Do it on the night.
Well, mate, it's been a pleasure.
Yep.
Let's get in touch with the keep watching and fire some questions at them, right? Ask them how your brisket went. Ask them for their opinion, and we'll get.
Yeah, I will do, mate. I'm getting. I don't know if you've seen me doing a bit of Jackie Chan, but I'm getting surrounded by flies here. So yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wonderful again, mate, and thank you very much. And catch you soon.
See you later, buddy.
See you later, mate.
Bye.
All right, here we go. Let's see, where's Q Point London? Are they in the live thing here? Here we go. Let's join up with them. Hopefully they're still waiting for Q Point London. Here we go. All right. Ooh.
Ah!
Oh, my.
Wrong way. Hey, there it is.
How are we doing?
Guys, keep going.
Logistics to do here. There.
Right. It's a little bit dark. Have you got a bit of light from the front?
Yeah, sorry, we came inside.
Sorry, we ran a bit over time, and your heads are getting cut off as well. So we might need to,
We'd arranged really well. I promise we'd had some really good preparation on this.
It's not my fault. The overran.
Much better.
Sure.
I think so. I mean, it's still a little bit dark, but.
Okay. All right. So it's quite dark. I think you need to sort of almost put the camera around the other way. Otherwise, we're just looking at like sort of dark.
Okay, I'm sorry. All the camera prep's gone. You're just going to have to talk to us like this. It's going to be close-ups of meat anyway.
Okay. I'm going to tell you my mix to start off. How's that sound?
So that's what you did very well, mate. How much do I need to pay you to get you in the kitchen?
That's
I mean,
actually really, really
I'm thinking
good.
$6.50 an hour.
That's 1 pint per hour. I'm thinking more about 2 pints per hour. How's that sound?
I mean, that smoke ring is pulling it in.
Should we go outside for this and then we can come back in?
No, actually.
Well, all right. So Which one of you, Josh, and which one of you is Mursal?
I'm Josh.
And I'm Mursal.
How are you guys? We've known you for quite some time, and you know, there'll be a lot of people watching. There'll be artists. Hopefully, there'll be the fat foodie watching. There'll be quite a few people watching, and we,
Hey, Chris.
you know,
Fat
from
boy.
my point of view, I was really nervous tonight because you guys are the brisket masters as far as I'm concerned in the UK. How's that? In all the brisket joints of all the brisket places I've been,
I mean,
your brisket
it's nice to claim that. It's really nice to be acclaimed that for sure. But I mean, we've always got a long ways to go. We always want to improve, and we always try and do better each time. So I think that's the idea of barbecue, is always learning that little bit extra as you're cooking, as you're there every day, figuring it out, that one little step more.
Okay.
Years of you. Somebody, we had an interview the other day about Josh. Too long. It's nearly a decade, or basically a decade, that he's been smoking barbecue. And I didn't think about it properly the other day, and I was like, oh yeah, we've been together this long, and I met you when you were smoking barbecue, and you were smoking barbecue before then. Like, our entire relationship has been based on smoking barbecue.
Right. Do you need a third one in the relationship?
I mean,
Or cook whatever you want.
yeah, exactly.
No, and so you guys are Q Point London. What is Q Point London for everybody watching?
British Afghan fusion barbecue is
Yeah.
the way that we can put it. I mean, we're Q Point London, but while our restaurant's closed, we're Q Point at home, just on the hashtag. Like, we're just delivering Josh's smoked meats across the UK and mainland Scotland. Found out, not Highland Scotland, just in case anyone's. But yeah, we've been doing quite, like, our narco kits are something that Josh's brisket just kind of goes well with everything. Do you want to show him your little before it gets like too?
We got our little brisket here.
Yeah. Show us it nice and clear. Hold it to the camera. Uh-oh. Oh my God. I think we've lost you guys. Sorry, folks. I'm going to show you my brisket while we wait for them to show them. Wow. Oh, we've lost them. Now, I've got really greasy fingers. It's going to be really hard for me to adjust this. This brisket is so tasty. I can't believe what's happened here. I think I've got the bark light nice and lovely. Let's see what we can do to join them back in. Well, excuse me for a minute whilst I wipe up my hands here. Q Point London. Let's get them back in. Oh, that must have been Taylor.
Are we back?
There we go. Mursal, how are you?
Back. Sorry about that.
Ah. So that's Q Point brisket, is it? Yep. It looks beautiful. Now, tell me about.
There you go. Keep going.
So I mean, for me, brisket's all about the feel and I mean, temperature for me doesn't really come into it when it comes into that. It comes into more, I mean, more just the feeling with the probe. I guess I get.
Okay.
So it's more of just a feeling of butter. Do you know what I mean? You always want it to feel like butter going through with that probe. And if it's not feeling like butter, then it needs that little push. For me, I mean, we use so we're using a halal from Tom Hickson at the minute. They range from, I mean, 3 kilos to 6, and I mean, you get some big boys in there, and they're really good to kind of get an edge on that way, because they've got such a great fat content in or just.
Is it a specific breed or a specific type of brisket that you're using, if you can tell us?
So we go for a certain grade. I mean, we use a USDA grade, so it's more down that line of
USDA choice, USDA, whatever the other ones are.
Well, we have USDA choice, whichever halal, because they do differ in brands at the minute. So because we do stay halal, it does differ in cows, and we do play around with a few different types at the minute.
Yeah, it's interesting, the halal range. Like, the more you get into halal meat, the more you learn about how much halal meat actually is around, and how much, one, it's not like advertised, but two, sometimes we have had issues where we were sent a 600-pound Wagyu or something because it was the last halal left in a certain supply, and we were like, that's 600. Like, what are you doing? And we didn't find that before, obviously. So it's been interesting. But I think as the market grows and as more food becomes inclusive, it gets
definitely getting easier. 100% getting easier.
Yeah. And Josh, it's quite nice, because the innovation, like, especially when did you have to go in early to go and have little banter chats with the butchers about lamb chops and lamb ribs, because it's nearly Eid, so lamb becomes like the most rarest diamond that you can. And so you just got to make sure you like sort out your chats. So
what does halal allow you to do, or what does halal do for you in your business?
Well, halal opens up the market. Not just that, people forget that halal, as much as it is for Muslims, there's a lot of the African and Caribbean communities. They also don't have pork, so certain times they will go and prefer halal restaurants. Kosher, it's not everywhere is kosher, but halal is something they'll do. And actually a lot of the meat that comes into the UK is halal. I've actually been having a lot of queries recently, and so I'm going to put a fax page up to just start addressing them, where people have been asking, excuse me, is your meat this, is it stunned, is it this? And I've got a template that everyone needs to be aware, this is the way we approach this. This is our supplier. We are halal, but we are inclusive first. Like, it's a concept above, we're just halal community and we're just this. It's just trying to show to our whole community, which isn't just, Muslims. It's like a whole mix of London, like everyone, English, British, Guyanese, Colombian, Afghan. So it's just about trying to get that concept out to people a little bit, and I think they're getting onto it.
Yeah, I think it's definitely making an impact. I mean, even just with the customers we get at W12 and the interaction that we see. I mean, it's nice to see people coming together through us really, and the barbecue and food and a table, and making it more open. Like, getting the conversation going in that sense.
Sorry about my camera angles. I know you hate me for it, but I promise you I tried, and then it just didn't. And I was being extra as usual.
Well, I discovered you guys, and I came across you guys on flavour first. How's that? Without knowing anything whatsoever, I came across your brisket and was just blown away, mate. It was just, hands down, favour, and have chomped around the place that your guys have, is the one. It's my go-to brisket, and I'm really proud that you've joined us, and and what you're doing is fantastic. It's just magic.
No, thank you so much. I mean, it's a pleasure to be involved in something like this. To be honest, it's nice to be
recognized,
recognized and put out there.
And people understanding what our brand, like, we've been inclusive forever, and no one really understood what that meant or why we were doing what we were doing. And Josh has been barbecuing for a long time, and he's been in the game for so long. And to hear people, and to hear that article that came out that, like, just really gave him the respect that I feel like he's deserved for so long, because this boy smokes. Like, he's been smoking. And it's just quite a pleasure to be able to integrate a lot of him and a lot of me into something that we love.
Well, fantastic, because I've tried your I've tried your narco, and I've tried the brisket narco. Oh, there's no way I could ever, you know, get to that level of flavour in there, guys.
That's when you give Josh something, like it's almost like, you know, when you give people a brief, or when you give Josh something and you're like, oh, you know, we look like this is an Afghan chutney, it's like my mom's recipe, I love it. Can you recreate it? Like you should have seen the amount of little tiny tips that we have, the tastings. How many Afghan chutney?
So many.
And then he'd watch me and I'd be like, oh, it's so good, but it's not quite limey, or it's not. And then he'd go to my mum and be like, which pepper are you using? Stop lying to me. Like, but then that's what's so beautiful, because now it is a tribute to my mum's chutney, but it's Josh's, because what he does with flavour, I just don't understand, and I love it.
Magician. Does that include the jalapeno jam, the gel jam you've got?
Mate.
Yeah, it's one of my favourites, to be honest. It's something we discovered. I mean, on the entry level of our cooking, wasn't it, when we started?
Yeah.
It's kind of one of our first sauces that we made.
Where? Yeah. That stuff is sensational.
Yeah.
Well, you know, we used to have like. So do you remember? Sorry.
I mean, it started off as a waste product. So we used to make a kind of jalapeno vinaigrette.
Oh.
Look at that.
Oh my God, that looks amazing. Hillary, you should be so proud. It's a banging brisket.
Can have all the job interviews coming up. So yeah, we kind of started it as a waste product. I mean, like I said, we was making a jalapeno vinaigrette, and it was kind of the leftover remnants of the flavour we'd drawn out of the jalapenos, and we decided to put it in a jam. And it just kind of came together with lime, because it was a bit of a leftover ingredient, and
my God,
it just popped.
That's what, but that was ever when you were doing the whole waste thing.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I mean, we're always on that level. We like to use everything we buy. And
then we started a range of was it the Scotch bonnet? And then just like kind of when Josh kind of like was like, wait, what can I do with that? What can I do with that? Like, I think we get into a few arguments because I'm obsessed with the condiments, and I'm obsessed with having multiple diverse, like that crispy element and then that other element. And like, I love the crispy onions. Josh probably isn't the biggest fan. I love the red pickled onions. Like, all those elements together make it that perfect. And then you can actually, like, they all just fall together in your mouth, and you're like, oh, that's quite perfect.
Yeah, I know. I sing about it all the time, and there's a few other of us as well that, you know, a good old fat boy out in Essex there.
Hey, shout out.
Or you've got a load of other people that, you know, you can shout out to that love your stuff as well.
Oh my God, don't. Like, if I start the shout outs, it'll just be non-stop halal food, London, halal girl. Like, hey, I'm going to go through all of you fat boy, fat foodie, foul mouths. Like, we've had so much support from the people that we've kind of like just grown with together. And like, even meeting you, you know, doing the festival, having that experience. When's the next one? We're saying a virtual festival. What's going on?
Gonna have to do it. So tell us then, you're selling your narcos online now.
Yeah, so we had to. So when COVID hit us all, it was a bit of a sharp shock, obviously, because the residency that we're at, the restaurant is like at least 400, 500 capacity. So it's not one of the easiest places to open back up. And as you know, it's in a working area, so it doesn't make a lot of sense. So we just quickly jumped on e-commerce and started backpacking our meats and creating restaurant kits. And now in the last few weeks, like, they're just like, you're seeing them everywhere. So you're like, okay, amazing. We can get on all these platforms, like at restaurant kits, if you've heard of them. Huh? Say that again.
Are you delivering nationally around?
Yes, yeah, we are. We're delivering nationally. Not Ireland yet, sorry guys, and Highland, Scotland, but
I think we can do a bit of a giveaway for the audience.
I think let's do that.
All right, let's